Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am drawing something that I've wanted to for quite a while now. So I do have a Google Docs list of different popular art trends, or supposedly popular art trends for the year 2021. And one of the things that I found online was something called abstract psychedelia. I Googled it and it looks like it's really inspired by 60s and 70s art pieces. And I wanted to try it for myself. So what you see me drawing here is a sketch of a girl who looks pretty like boho or hippie, and she is smoking, and the smoke coming out is a whole bunch of different symbols, and then there's the phrase turn on, tune in, drop out. So just as a disclaimer, I do not smoke, nor do I partake in the smoking of any substances. I don't condone that activity, but I just want to say it is legal in Canada. I have nothing against anybody who chooses to do it. I just don't for personal reasons. So it is legal in Canada, and I am over the age of 18. So I hope YouTube does not have a problem with this video because of that one little part of my drawing. Anyways, because I've had this idea in my head, or I guess this theme, the abstract psychedelia, in my head for so long, I really wanted this piece to turn out, and I tried extra hard on it. I don't think I've ever put this much work into a digital piece, which sounds really bad, but I promise it's not. I just really took my time with this one, and I think I need to do that more often in order to create something that I'm happier with, because a lot of my digital pieces I'm not super happy with, and I think it's because I just rush through it and I don't take the time to really like try and develop the line art and whatnot more. I just kind of run with the idea that I have and hope it turns out. So as you notice in the first couple seconds, I did a super rough sketch of kind of what I wanted, the proportions, where I wanted it on the page, and then now the part that is probably painstakingly long to watch is me creating a more detailed sketch on top of that. And I'm super happy I did this second sketch on top because it really helped with the line art portion, and I basically just followed this sketch when doing the line art. Usually, yeah, I don't have two sketches, I just do one. It's kind of in between super messy and this detailed, and then I just kind of roll with whatever I have, and that does lead me to being unhappy with some of the pieces I've made, which you will see next week. Anyways, the phrase that I chose to put on here, turn on, tune in, drop out, I just Googled common phrases of the 1960s, and it came up with a lot of slang words, and instead of putting something like stay groovy or something kind of cliche like that, I chose this one, which if you Google it, was said by a Harvard professor, and basically what it means is to open your mind, become aware of reality, and don't listen or play into false narratives. If you Google it, I'm sure there's more information on it. That's just kind of a brief what it means, which I think kind of fits the vibe of this piece pretty well. So now I'm just going in and doing the line art. I chose to switch back to my trusty old basic paintbrush tool for this because it's not super blurry around the edges. It also doesn't taper, and it's very opaque, and I knew that I wanted that. And I put the brush size as pretty small because I wanted the lines to be relatively thin because there was a lot of detail going into this piece, and I do actually end up making the brush tip even smaller to go and do finer details later, like strands in the hair, parts of the one mushroom, stuff like that. So some of the imagery that you'll see in this cloud here, there's obviously a couple mushrooms. The thing in the center there is supposed to be an eyeball with a tongue coming out of it. I'm not really sure if that's kind of comes across as that, but that was what it was meant to be. There's a peace sign up in the top, and then there's two different flowers, because flowers are quite popular in like 60s era imagery and art. So I definitely wanted to incorporate those. I'm a little sad that I didn't add any hearts in. I only thought of that when I was creating the thumbnail for this video, but maybe if I do this again, I'll add a heart in. And it took me a really, really, really long time to write out the letters for this, which is why I didn't film me sketching them, because it took a really long time to get them to look the way that I wanted to. But they are quite heavily referenced from quote-unquote psychedelic fonts that I googled. So I took quite a bit of inspiration from things that I found online for all the different parts of this piece. Common symbols, the color palette, the shape of these letters, and kind of like the vibe of the girl. So the only thing that's like super heavily referenced is the letters. The rest of it, I just took inspiration from what I saw online in order to make it fit the theme and maybe like kind of realistic as to what a poster may have looked like in the 60s. I am obviously not from the 60s, so I can't say whether or not this would be realistic, or even if the saying that I chose is actually popular, but leave it up to the internet to make those decisions. So it took me a really, really long time to do this line art. I'm surprised I actually filmed so much of it, because it literally took hours for me to do. It's always the longest part for me. I'm really slow at it because my line smoothing tool does me dirty a lot, and then it just doesn't work out, and I'm really particular, so I do a lot of cleanup and fixing later on too. But I think it ended up turning out, and I'm not sure if I said this already, but I chose to do a dark purple for the line art because I didn't want to do black. I actually rarely do line art in black anymore, especially with digital pieces. I do it more with traditional pieces, but not really with digital art anymore. So that's why I chose to go with the dark purple, and here is when I'm using that smaller brush to add the details. So now I'm moving into the color. I knew that I wanted the words to be orange. I just associate the color orange with the 60s. I don't really know why. There's really no reason behind it, but I know that it is a relatively popular color. And yeah, it's when I just think of the 60s and 70s, I think of orange. So that's why I wanted the words to be orange, because I knew that they were going to stand out being right there. And then I just went in little by little, adding in the different colors and trying my best to make sure that none of the colors touched each other in the same sections. So as you can see, I'm just flipping back to my color mock-up that I made. I did two different versions. The first version was with really bright colors, and then the second version was with more muted colors, because I saw both types of art online and I wanted to see which one I liked better. Obviously, I've gone with the brighter colors here because it just looked a little bit more lively to me, and that's totally fine. I chose not to go with the duskier colors, but that did look like it was popular back then. I just didn't really like the way that it looked with, the vibe that I was going for here. So I didn't film a lot of the coloring, again, because it took me a really long time to flip back and forth between the colors, and my computer hates when I flip between the colors. It ends up like freaking out the system, so I didn't film a ton of it. I just filmed me going in here and there, adding the colors in, because it's basically the same process all over. Switch between the colors, kind of look, see where there's an empty space where it's not touching any of the other ones, and add it in there until finally everything except the whites of the eyeballs are filled in with color. I think also I ended up adding white onto the sunglasses to make them look like they had a reflection, but other than that, I tried to have as little white showing as possible in order to make it very, very colorful. So then I tried to add a background in, which was like black and white, swirly, spirally little things using the reflection tool, because I saw that and was like, wow, that's really cool. Probably was from an album cover, but I hated the way that it looked. It made it look way too busy. So I scrapped that idea and just tried to find a color. I ended up going with pale yellow. The final piece is here. And then I also chose to try it without the words, and then also in black and in white. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post new videos every Monday afternoon, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I will see you all next week.